You see them on Sundays and perhaps throughout the week, but we guarantee you that you've never seen them like this before. Join us as we get to know our pastors beyond the four walls of FCBC. This is the Beyond the Wall series.
What's up, FCBC family? This is Tamish coming to you with another episode of the Beyond the Wall series, where we will get a chance to get to know our pastors beyond the four walls of FCBC. Family, let me let you know you are in for a treat, because today we have the man, the legend. I can't say the man, the myth, and the legend. We have the man and the legend, our very own senior pastor, Pastor Michael A. Walrond.
What's up? FCBC, what's going on?
Welcome, and thank you for taking some time to talk to us today and help us to get to know you better. Let's get right into it. So, if you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Resilient. My life has been about resilience. I mean, I was sickly as a child, misdiagnosed with one disease for 38 years, find out that I have a very rare disease, which renders me basically with no real immune system. But all these years, sick, hospitalization, sick, in the hospital, surgery, hospitalization, surgery. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how, I would say from the time I was about 22, things just started going crazy in terms of my health. And to have endured the things I've endured, to suffer the things I've suffered, survived sepsis 3 times, had a stroke in 2018, a full hemorrhagic stroke. When I think about what I've been through, I'm still here in my right mind. I know a lot of people wouldn't have been able to handle what I've endured for the majority of my life, but I'm here, and I thank God, but I also know that I'm resilient.
Totally can feel that, and completely as a member of the church, truly know that is the case for you. So thank you for sharing that. If your family or friends had to describe you in one word, what would they say?
Depends on what family and friends, but I think there's a consensus among friends, in fact, that the one word like he crazy. I think, my friends who know me for a long time, I'm not gonna say I'm completely healed, but I had a pretty bad temper back in the days, and I could fly off very quickly. And when I was younger, like high school, they'd be like, oh, that dude is kind of loose, But yeah, I would say some friends like, oh, Mike crazy. He's crazy. But I got a lot of love at the same time. So I'm not that dude I was. I'm not completely healed yet. But I know, like, sometimes when my kids tell their friends, my daughter especially, like, my dad's kind of crazy.
Got you. All right. Thank you. It's good to know. If you could describe a perfect day in your world, what would that be? Like, what do you do in your free time?
Oh, man, a perfect day for me would involve, I've had some pretty good days, but if I think about my perfect day, it would be getting up early in the morning, meditating, which has become part of my practice, meditating, and doing what I call a jazz meditation, which I always meditate to jazz music in the background. Then reading for about 3 hours. Before that, having a good breakfast, but reading for about 3 hours. Then kind of writing for about another hour or so. And then playing golf, man. Like, I'm a big golfer. So any day I could meditate, read, write, play golf, and then end the night with, like, I'm a cigar smoker. So end the night with like a nightcap and a cigar. Look, that's heaven for me.
Wow. Did you all know that, FCBC family? So let's get into maybe a few more little known facts. What is a little known fact that that we don't know about you?
I don't know. There was a time when my motorcycle thing was surprising. I don't do that no more for a lot of reasons, but I think one of the things that some people can see, I don't think most people know I have like 12 tattoos.
Okay.
Little known fact. Some people see the ones on my arm when I preach, but I have my arm, my shoulder, part of chest, back. So yeah, I got about 12 tattoos and a brand.
Oh.
An Omega brand, which you see that right there. Omega brand. But I mean, I think the tattoos is, some people see a few, but I think most people wouldn't think like pastor have all these tattoos, but I got like 12, maybe 12. And I'm not finished either. I got some more.
So you brought up your Omega brand. So I have to ask you, what made you become an Omega man?
They were crazy too. No, man. I mean, I thought that's partly true. I mean, I thought the way I saw Omegas was in line with how I was back in the days. I mean, but on top of that, I knew early on in college, my freshman year, that I wanted to be, I felt a call to ministry. And one of the things that intrigued me about Omega Psi Phi was that one of the founders was a minister who ended up being a bishop in the Methodist Church. And you can see, and without saying a whole lot, but a lot of what shapes Omega Psi Phi is deeply spiritual. I know people find that crazy, especially the reputation that Omegas have, but a lot of it is deeply religious, and part of that is because one of the founders was a minister, preparing to be a minister. So I think that's part of it. So understanding those aspects about just in the basic history you could read was appealing. And then many of the Omegas I saw in college were people who I kind of looked up to. These were guys who were doing a lot on campus, really heavily involved in student government and things like that. And so they were good role models in many ways. In the whole fraternity itself, one of my spiritual mentors, he passed away before I even became of age in the sense of college, was Howard Thurman, who was an Omega man. The great president of Morehouse College, Benjamin Elijah Mays, was a Morehouse man. And so those are people as Morehouse men I admired and looked up to, and they were Omega men. Thurman was Morehouse grad and Omega. Mays wasn't a Morehouse man, but he helped shape the Morehouse mystique. He was an Omega, and that was part of it.
Speaking about college, where you, it was confirmed you were called to ministry, and we know there's something or someone else that you kind of met during that time period. And listen, I mind my business. I'm just asking because I know the people want to know. Everybody likes a good love story.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing how you met Pastor Lakeisha?
Well, I mean, it's a story I've told a lot of people. I'm gonna tell it here. So we met in September. She said September. I thought it was August, but it was September of '89. I was the freshman class president at Morehouse. She was actually the freshman class vice president at Spelman. And what happened is one night we had an SGA meeting over on Spelman's campus. It was the freshman officers from Morehouse, and we had a meeting with the senior class officers at Spelman for something, I can't remember. But afterwards, we went to this dorm. Two of my friends who were officers, class officers, stopped at this dorm to see some friends of theirs. And I had a friend in there as well. This was at Spelman. And so when I walked in them days, you had to check into the front office, and then they would show you how far time has come. So you would check into the front office if you came to see a female, and the front office attendant in the dorm would then hit the speaker. There was a speaker system on each floor. And it'd be like, say you were there, and Tamish, and your room was 220. They were like, Tamish, in 220, you have a visitor. And then you would have to go downstairs and sign your visitor in. And if you were in the dorm rooms at Spelman, if you were in the female's dorm room, the door had to be open. So you couldn't close your door, or you could go in the lounge. And so we went to the dorm, and that night, part of Reverend Lakeisha's work study was she worked the front desk. That night she wasn't working, but she was in there with some other girls who were working, and she was actually sick. She was sitting like on the floor. They were all in there hanging out, and she was on the floor, and she looked sick. She looked like she was a cold. She had on a beret on her head. I remember she had a scarf around her neck, and she was coughing. She had these overalls on, and I don't know. I saw it, and I was like, she wasn't dressed up or anything, but she was cute. And I was like, okay. So I looked at her and saw her a few times. And then my boy, who was a freshman class vice president at Morehouse, knew her. and he introduced us. He was like, yeah, this is Mike. He's the class president, blah, blah, blah. So when we left, I asked my boy, I was like, yo, who was that again? He's like, yo, it's Lakeisha. He's like, well, she mad, cool, whatever. So anyway, I was not technically seeing another woman at the time, but I was like kind of dating somebody, like off and on. We were just getting to know each other. But she lived in the same dorm on the 3rd floor, where Lakeisha lived in the basement, right, of the dorm. So I came the next day to go see my friend, and Keisha was working. So this is a funny story. So when I saw her, I went and spoke to her, and I was like, hey, Keisha, and she was like, hey, what's going on, da, 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 da. And she's like, I need you to do me a favor. I was like, what? So she writes down her phone number and gives me her phone number. She was like, I need you to give this to another dude who was my boy. So who was the vice president. She liked him. So she gives me her number so she gonna give a dude her number to give to another dude?
Right.
So, that never happened. Because she gave the number. I think the next day I called her and she was like, did you get my number? I was like, yeah, I gave it to him. Lying, right? I was like, yeah. And then, man, we was on the phone for like over 2 hours. And then we started talking. I went back to visit her, and then there was some drama, of course, because I was talking to somebody on the 3rd floor, and she was living in the bottom. So there was a little drama that took place. But my attitude at the time was, the drama was so significant that I was like, I don't really want to be with neither one of y'all. I'm good. I tried to play that role. And I remember one day I came into my dorm room. My wife was standing outside the dorm room, and she was like, yeah, if you ain't gonna be with her, you're gonna be with me. I was like, really? To that point, I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen. But 31 years later, we're here. But we met September, the 2nd month of our freshman year in 1989. And the rest is history, man. It's what it is. So, but it was fun. It was fun beginning.
You shared, and I think most people know this already, that your family is from Barbados.
That's right.
And I have a couple. If someone wanted to take a trip to Barbados for the very first time, they're vacationing, what would you recommend? What should they eat? What should they do?
Well, I mean, the national dish of Barbados is cuckoo and flying fish. Mm-hmm. That's the national dish. When I was a kid, though, there's several kinds of cuckoo you can make. My family would make cornmeal cuckoo. Okay. It's like almost doing it. It's like almost like you're doing almost like a potato. You're kind of cooking it, grinding it. But I hated cornmeal cuckoo, especially the fact they would do it with fish and okra and all that stuff. I hate it. But when I got older, I had an uncle who made breadfruit. I'm sure you know about breadfruit. Who made breadfruit cuckoo. Now, once I got a hold of breadfruit cuckoo, that was it for me. I was good. Breadfruit cuckoo, flying fish, anything, any fish you put in breadfruit cuckoo, I was good. Yeah. So you gotta have breadfruit cuckoo and flying fish. When I was younger, they still have them. They were different then. They used to be in bottles, and you have to drink what we call the juicy, right? A juicy is like a soda, but man, they were so good. Now, juicy is for the people who just don't want soda. Now, if you're a real Bayesian, and I know you don't like this, to me, right? But Marby, like you say it. you can't go to Barbados, man. I had a Marby. I think I said it, right? So you gotta have. So Marby is like, I guess I don't know over time. I never had Marby. I think from the time I was a little baby, I was drinking it. So I don't taste bitterness, but people who taste it for the first time taste bitterness. So when my wife tried Marby, it's a drink made from bark, right? You boil the bark down and you take that and put water and different spices and sugar. But she hated it, like you. She hated it. But I would have the Marby syrup, and my mother would make Marby with the boiled bark so much, and I have it so much that she started drinking it to the point now where she loves Marby, right? So you gotta have cuckoo flying fish, you gotta drink Marby, and if you go on vacation, you gotta have Chefette, right? Now, it wasn't chefette when I was a kid, but chefette is where you get rotis, right? So all beef roti and chicken roti and all that stuff. So you gotta get rotis, and then you have to go Friday night, as you know, to Oystons.
Yes.
So you gotta go to Oystons Fish Fry, which is basically a big party with a lot of food vendors, and it's like and music, and it's amazing. That's where you want to be on Friday nights. It gets a little crowded, but it's fun. And then you gotta go to a good rum shop, right? You gotta find you a rum shop with some folk who know how to drink, like some real rum drink, right? And sit back by the ocean and go to the rum shop and have some drinks and relax. But those are things you gotta do to go to Barbados. Now, of course, a lot of historical things about Barbados I didn't know until I got older, when I went to a Barbados museum and found out that some of the slang words that I thought I didn't use slang, it was just words we said, were actually Swahili. I didn't know that. That so much of what we call some of our Bajan dialects, some people call patois, different cultures, is actually kind of riffs on Swahili language, which I never really knew. But yeah, so that's what you got. You got to get cuckoo and flying fish. You got to have marble. You got to do a juice. You got to go to chefette, and you got to go to Oystons.
And the beach.
And well, the beach is now. Let me tell you this though. I almost feel like I'm gonna betray my people here. But for a long time, before we had some kind of geographical shifting in Barbados, because they had a period where the beaches got bad because of had a seaweed invasion. Barbados always, to me, with most beautiful beaches, the most beautiful water, still is, and that was a big thing. So it was hard for me spending so much time in Barbados in summers and stuff to then go to beaches in the United States. I never went in. I've not to this day gone in the water, except, now let me take back. I went a few years ago in South Beach. I went to the water in Miami, but I typically don't go in the water in the United States beaches, because if you go to Barbados beaches, like this water's dirty. So I'm not getting in dirty water. I thought that until I went to Turks and Caicos. And my wife would tell you, the very first time I went to Turks and Caicos, we got to the hotel. We had an oceanfront room. I looked at the water. I called my mother. I said, Mom, we got a problem. She's like, what? I said, I think my love affair with Barbados beaches just ended today. What are you talking about? I said, Mom, we in Turks. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Turks and Caicos is amazing. Beaches are amazing. They were actually voted for some years number one beaches in the world. But yeah.
Now we'll transition into some rapid fire questions where there isn't any wrong answer. I'm going to mention a few things and you just need to say the very first thing that comes to your mind. Spring or summer?
Spring.
Book or movie?
Woo! Woo! Book.
And grits or oatmeal?
Oatmeal.
Okay, cool. Because I didn't want to have to ask you if you put grits, like salt or sugar on your grits.
I put sugar in my grits.
Oh no!
Because you gotta remember, the very first time I had grits was in the summer of 1990, visiting my wife after our freshman year, because we didn't grow up with grits.
Yeah.
So I saw grits in college in the cafeteria in Atlanta. I'm not eating no grits. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And her grandmother made them, and I tasted. I thought, this is nasty. She's like, put some sugar in it.
No judgment. Pastor Trey said the same thing. It also.
He said he likes sugar in his grits too, right? Yes.
I was like, Lord.
That's probably that's my influence as a kid. See me put sugar in my grits. Both my kids put sugar in their grits, and their mother doesn't.
Oh wow. So now I'm gonna say a word, and please say the first word that comes to mind. You're making me laugh. The first word that comes to mind.
Right.
Stop.
Go.
Love.
Deeply.
Fight.
Too much.
God.
Me. When you said God and I said me, is because I think part of our awakening and our awareness is to accept the divinity that exists within all of us. Mm-hmm. I think only when we accept our divinity can we fully accept and embrace our humanity. So,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
You heard it from the man, the legend himself, our very own pastor. Pastor Mike, thank you so much for sharing today and giving us a peek behind the curtain a little bit more.
And it was so good to be interviewed by Tamish Winfrey. So
I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. John Leslie trying to work this thing out.
hey, y'all doing an amazing job. I appreciate you all too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, FCBC family. Once again, this was the Beyond the Wall series with your very own pastor, Pastor Mike.
This is Pastor Mike, and this is my Beyond the Wall story.